Let's talk about ice cream. I mean, who doesn't love it? It feels like such a modern treat, right? Something you grab from the freezer section. But what if I told you the story of ice cream is actually thousands of years old? Yeah, it's a surprisingly long and seriously cool history.
You know that sound, don't you? On a blistering hot summer afternoon, you hear that call echoing down the street. Gargar, Tangar, ice cream, which just means cool, oh, so cold, ice cream. It's a sound that just slices right through the heat and, it just brings an instant smile to your face. It's pure joy in a sound.
So we all know that feeling, but have you ever stopped to think about where this amazing dessert actually came from? I mean, who was the first person to have that brilliant idea to freeze cream and sugar into something so delicious? Well, the answer, it's a lot more complicated than you might think.
Yeah, we totally connect it with modern freezers and those trendy parlors you see everywhere. But here's the thing, ice cream is not a new invention, not even close. Its roots are ancient and they're scattered all across the globe, with all these different cultures whipping up their own versions of frozen treats long before we had the technology we have today.
All right, let's really get into it. To find the true origins of ice cream, we have to go way, way back in time, to some of the world's greatest ancient empires. What's so fascinating is that the idea of a frozen dessert seems to have just popped up in different places totally independently. The earliest trace we have is from ancient Persia, around 550 BCE, where they'd figured out how to store ice. Then, a few centuries later, around 200 BCE in China, there are records of a frozen mix of rice and milk. And then you have the Roman Empire, in the 1st century, where the rich and powerful were enjoying their own kind of flavored snow.
And check this out, this is just pure genius. The Persians built these incredible beehive-shaped structures called yakchal, which literally translates to ice pit, to store ice they'd harvested in the winter. This meant they could enjoy chilled treats flavored with things like grapes, saffron, and rosewater, all through their blazing hot summers. Pretty clever, right? Meanwhile, over in Rome, the famous Emperor Nero had his own super lavish version. He would actually send servants to run to the mountains, grab a bunch of snow, and then race it back to the palace. There, his chefs would flavor it with honey and wine to create this sort of primitive sorbet, which is really the direct ancestor of the sherbet we eat today. So, let's follow this treat as it makes its way to Europe. Now, for a long time, this was not a snack for regular folks, oh no. It was a closely guarded secret, a super luxurious indulgence that was reserved only for kings and queens. There's a popular theory that gives credit to the explorer Marco Polo. The story goes that when he returned to Italy from his travels in the 13th century, he brought back recipes for something totally new. This wasn't just flavored snow anymore. It was something much richer, much creamier. And this is a really key difference. The early sorbets, they were basically just flavored ice, kind of flaky and refreshing. But this new cream ice was a whole different ballgame. It used cream for its base and was thickened up with things like custard or starch. This created a much smoother, richer, way more decadent texture, something that's a lot closer to what we think of as ice cream today. So, how did the secret of cream ice start getting out? Believe it or not, it was all thanks to a royal wedding. Back in 1533, an Italian noblewoman, Catherine de' Medici, married the guy who would become the King of France. And when she moved, she brought her personal chefs with her, and they brought their secret recipes for frozen desserts right into the heart of the French court. And this just shows you how incredibly exclusive this dessert was. When ice cream finally made it to England, King Charles I was so obsessed with his frozen snow that he offered his personal ice cream maker a lifetime pension. But there was one condition. He had to promise to never ever share the recipe with anyone. The king wanted to keep it a treat for royalty and royalty alone. But come on, you can't keep a secret that good forever, right? Despite the king's best efforts, the recipe eventually leaked. And in 1686, a Sicilian man named Francesco Procopio de Coltelli opened the first cafe in Paris to sell ice cream to the general public. For the very first time, you didn't have to be a king to enjoy it. So this is the really crucial moment. This is the big shift from a rare, royal luxury to a treat that pretty much everyone could enjoy. It was the single biggest turning point in the history of ice cream, and this incredible change was driven by two things: new technology and, well, a little bit of happy accident creativity. See, before the 19th century, just getting the ice was the hardest part. You literally had to cut it from frozen lakes in the winter or send people running up mountains. But then came the invention of commercial refrigeration and better transportation. All of a sudden, ice was cheap and easy to get. And just like that, making ice cream became possible for just about everyone. And then came one of the greatest inventions in the history of food, And it was a total accident. It was the 1904 World's Fair. An ice cream vendor was so popular that he completely ran out of clean bowls. His neighbor, a guy named Ernest Humwee, was selling waffles and had this brilliant idea. He took one of his warm waffles, rolled it up into a cone shape, let it cool for a second, and handed it over. The edible ice cream cone was born, and it was an absolute smash hit. Get this, ice cream even played a role in world history. During World War II, the American military officially called it a morale-boosting food for the troops. And when the war finally ended, the country celebrated with a massive ice cream feast, which really cemented its status as the ultimate comfort and celebration food. Okay, let's jump forward to today. That post-war celebration really locked ice cream's place in our culture, and from there, the creative floodgates just burst wide open. The journey from flavored snow to an edible cone was amazing, but what's happened since then is even wilder. We have now entered an age of, well, boundless creativity and some truly bizarre flavors.
I mean, innovations are everywhere. You can get tawa ice cream rolled up right in front of you on a frozen plate. There's savory pani puri ice cream. There's even an Italy sambar flavor, which, let me tell you, made some people pretty angry. But the list just gets stranger, leading us to what might be the most controversial flavor of all time.
Yep, you heard that right. In 2011, a company in London created an ice cream made from pasteurized, donated human breast milk. They named it the Baby Gaga, and apparently it was flavored with vanilla and a little bit of lemon zest.
And if you were curious enough to try this unique creation, a single scoop would have cost you 14 euros. It just goes to show you how far we've really pushed the boundaries of what ice cream can even be.
So from ancient Persian ice pits to Emperor Nero's sorbet, from a secret recipe for kings to the accidental cone, and now to flavors that challenge the very idea of dessert, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? After thousands of years of evolution, where on earth will our love for ice cream take us next?